Yeah.
Yeah, we actually do.
That would be more one.
We actually do. Pretty nice.
It was well.
The deadline is
Okay, it's 12 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order.
That's basically.
That we're going to take a note.
Sure.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Public comment.
Since I'm still not been reappointed to the board, I'm going to take this opportunity to participate in the ways I'm allowed to. So I've actually got quite a few comments. I may be pushing the 5 minutes, so I'm going to time this. The first comment I have is, as it relates to the board packet in the meeting minutes. I was trying to research some things based on today's agenda, and I find our minutes lacking a little bit. And for example, the case in point here is last month, the board adopted a new policy. And the minutes just say the policy is adopted as presented. I think it would be appropriate when the board adopts documents that those should be attachments to the minutes so that there's actually in the record, this is what was adopted as opposed to he adopted something.
Yeah.
And that goes for contracts and other documents that the board is formally adopting. Fortunately, I was able to find that because Tyler did put it on the website, so I could at least look up the wording on that. Into the financials. The balance sheets for our, I'll call them auxiliary accounts, like our downtown dollars and our revolving loan, to me are still in disarray. Again, as it relates to the revolving loan, you have a balance sheet that doesn't actually balance, where assets don't actually even total the same number, which I don't even know how QuickBooks can produce such a thing, but somehow that is there. On the downtown dollars, it shows our downtown dollars outstanding at $3,356.15. Well, we've never issued downtown dollars in denominations other than $10 or $25. So there's no way that that number is even possible to have it in 15 cents. So there's just lots of things here, and I know I may sound like a broken record because I keep bringing this up, but one of the primary responsibilities of any board is their fiduciary responsibility, and therefore this stuff is important. And I'm not sure how we're going to, how you're going to address it, maybe me next month. And as I've said before, especially as it relates to the revolving loan, I see approximately $7,000 that's missing from my understanding. We originally created that with a $30,000 USDA grant. We've charged interest over time, so that fund should have gone up. We've never had a loan loss that I'm aware of, but it's showing our balance at far less than $30,000 now. So on downtown dollars, again, that was originally seated at 10,000. We're now at 3,500-ish. I think there are explanations on the downtown dollars as to why that's come down, but it kind of just happened suddenly in some of the changes in the accounting. All those things concern me. As it relates to the general fund balance sheet, again, part of the board's new policy is that we should be reflecting in our balance sheet our special funds in their own accounts. And I was just curious as to when we were planning on making that shift. I know we just adopted the policy last month, but I was kind of maybe expecting to see it, but it's not there yet. As it relates to new business item on the request from marketing promotions for essentially a new promotional opportunity. A couple thoughts there that I have is, I think the wording of what the board adopts needs to be clear, because when I read Tyler's memo on it, it was, and also piecing together the minutes from the marketing promotions committee, it was unclear to me whether the intention is that you have to spend $500 at one store, or if it's the accumulation of spending $500 in the downtown.
I'll explain that in the marketing and promotion.
Right, I just think whatever's adopted should be clear on that. And the reason I believe it should be across downtown, because I think if you don't, it puts certain types of businesses at a disadvantage, who by their nature are more high volume but low ticket price businesses. And I take, for example, one of the places I frequent, which is the barber. I'm never going to spend $500 in a 2-month period. None of his clients would, and therefore he would be really at a disadvantage in us promoting this. But I'm interested in hearing what comes out of the marketing promotions report. Also, the idea of doing a $1,000 giveaway, and probably at my 5 minutes. So I'll skip some of that. But I do want to comment, I know there is an item on the agenda to talk about, to go into closed session for the discussion of real estate. I personally am opposed to that at this point. I'd like to hear more, because I don't think the board in its strategic planning has really contemplated what is being proposed. And I think most of that closed session would really be talking about strategic planning items, not a specific offer, which I believe, while maybe technically legal, would go against at least the spirit of the Open Meetings Act. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, moving on, approval of July 11, 2018 regular meeting minutes.
Support.
Committee reports, design.
Design didn't have a meeting this month because of July, and everybody was too busy, so. All reporting at that.
Marketing and promotions met. One thing that we talked about is what Barry talked about in the public comments. So we had an idea that what we would like to do is from September 15th to November 15th, which are somewhat of quiet months, especially the first 2 weeks of November. The end of November picks up downtown, but the first 2 weeks of November are extremely quiet for downtown businesses. And that was a mutual agreement at the Marketing and Promotions Committee. So what we talked about is part marketing and promotions and part retention. And what we wanted to do is have anybody, so the plan is anybody, and it will also include business owners. Nobody's excluded from it. From September 15th to November 15th, if you spend $500 at any shop downtown or multiple shops, you would be entered to win $1,000 downtown dollars if you submit your contact information and all of your receipts. So for example, you could go to the barber shop and spend $10. You can go to the bakery and spend $25. You can come to Moving Spirits and spend $100. And you add up your receipts from any downtown business. You would submit them by November 15th, or November 15th would be the deadline, to Tyler. And there would be a drawing that would be public. and whoever won the drawing would win $1,000 downtown dollars. And it could be somebody from Grand Rapids, it could be a business owner, it could be anybody that spends $500 at any shop or shops from that time period. And we thought that would be a good way to market and promote the downtown businesses during those quiet months, and also to do something for retention for the current businesses that are open. We feel like we're doing a lot to try to attract new businesses, but we talked about, what can we do for businesses that are already open, especially during the 5 months. So what we were asking for is if the DDA would approve $1,000 of downtown dollars, so that would all get reinvested right back into the downtown for the winner of the promotional piece. And then any business can have the little flyers in their business, so they can promote it on their own. Tyler will also promote it through the DDA Facebook page, website, and then we would like to send out a press release on it.
Couple of questions. I think you answered one of them, how you're going to promote it in advertising. So all of the store, any business downtown then would be, or receipts from any business downtown.
Any business
Will
downtown.
be eligible.
Yep.
And then the businesses then would be responsible for advertising with flyers and so on? Is
It
this-
seems like they would want to be, because I sure would want to say to a customer, if you add up your receipts, here's the form, you can fill it out, but it will also be promoted through social media, and hopefully we could get a press release in the paper.
So part of the funds you are requesting would be used towards getting flyers and advertising?
Yeah, we have to have some funds for print materials for the brochures that would
Sure.
go in
Okay.
the stores, which we just thought would be a small little, maybe postcard size flyer that would have, we have to have their contact information, and that's another way of getting people's address and email addresses also.
Yeah.
So we would have the specific details and instructions on that. The dates, specific dates, and there is going to be a strict cutoff point, which would be like September 15th. And where to mail it to, which would go to Tyler. And then we would have to plan, because the drawing, the committee wants to be public so everybody can see it, because it can be anybody that can win. It could be a DDA board member, it could be a business owner, it could be somebody from Chicago. Anybody that spends $500 throughout the downtown is welcome to, with the receipts, put their name in it.
Do you want to discuss this further now, or I see it's one
Well,
of the items on the...
Yeah, we can talk about it in new
Okay,
business,
all right,
I just
because I
wanted,
have a couple more questions.
okay, we can defer it back
Sure.
to under new business, but that was one of the ideas that came out of marketing and promotions. Another thing is we had talked about advertising in general, the downtown, and we asked for the funds for that. We are still talking about that, and we did meet with Teresa from 9 and 10 News. A couple other opportunities came up, and Tyler and I are still working on it to see what's best, how to spend the money, and get the most bang up for the buck from that money, from those advertising dollars. And we're still looking at different marketing tools, because now we're talking, it may not be a television commercial, we may think that a billboards might be better. And we're also kind of struggling with coming up with a theme, and what we want, if we do commercial or if we do a billboard, what we exactly want to say or what we want it to look like. So we're still working on it, but we do need a little bit more time. We have some props coming up, which Carrie is, from the Outpost, is working on, and I think that is going pretty well. I don't think there's any concerns. And I have been working on Sleigh Bell. This is our third or fourth meeting that we had this morning. So, so far, we're on top of getting that event planned.
Forgetting about your favorite event this Friday.
And TGIF Friday is this Friday.
Related to events, I recently heard comments, complaints, I guess comments, that the events don't always go to council with early enough to get approved or acted on. And the question that came up was, well, what happens when you spend a lot of effort in putting together the events and promoting it and getting donations and so on, and then without having gone to council for approval? And what will happen if council, for whatever reason, doesn't approve an event? So that kind of got me thinking about, would that be possible to get the applications for all of the events, get them to council early on, say in the beginning of the year, for all events? I don't know if it's practical, but this way, everything gets approved or acted upon by council early on, and we don't have to worry about, well, is there a possibility that this event will not be approved, and so on.
Well, we hope to change that when we hire the event planner. We already know that's an issue. So we're hoping that with the event planner / coordinator that those issues will be addressed and taken
That would
care of.
be, okay.
Yeah.
At this point in time, there's a worksheet that was developed by Public Safety and Public Works to cost out some of the elements of their services for these different events. And my understanding of that was that those are in a trial basis right now. Is that right, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, their trial basis, so it would go into effect.
It's kind of a forward-looking thing. This is what the elements would be and such. But you know, I think one of the things to that is cost recovery. Part of it, so it's not so much a burden on the general taxpayer as opposed to the people that are putting some of these events on. Some of them are quite extensive in their cost. Some of them are pretty insignificant. I don't really foresee that as a problem. I know on tonight's agenda we've got tight lines for troops, and that's not until May of next year. So that's a very forward-thinking move on their part to get approval so they can, as T has pointed out, make their plans and have approval well in advance. But that's probably a good point.
So then, by having those worksheets or budgets for cost, those then can be incorporated in the budget.
Yes.
So there will be a timing.
Has the
That makes
council,
sense.
has the council ever considered having maybe at the beginning of the year a call for activities or events so that everybody shows and brings those to you so that you can have an annual calendar? And then anything that's kind of brought up in the, like, the suicide prevention walk that's going to happen, that's kind of something that's different. You know, they can do individual requests, but have an annual kind of calendar event type of development.
Because I think on the form it says that it's only 30 days. I think there's somewhere on there that
The approval?
yeah, it's 30 days, so If they want more time, then that probably should be changed on the request form. Because right now it says, I believe, 30 days.
Some things happen on a fairly
Right.
recurring basis, and they're pretty predictable, and as you indicate, some things kind of pop up.
Right.
The good thing about that is it might be a way to promote what goes on for the year too.
Right.
So there's some positives to that.
Any questions on marketing and promotions? Okay, business development?
We didn't meet, we planned not to meet just because we knew there was going to be low attendance, but, you know, and I think Tyler referred to some of these. We did have the committee meeting on Spark and picked the 5 finalists, which were in the newspaper. I know Tyler has also communicated with the sponsors and the judges. You've recently done a communication on that for Spark. And then also, I know that Tom Hinman is working to give them score counseling to assist them with that process. Zoning, and you kind of gave an update on zoning too, that you're kind of in the final stages with the August meeting of council. And I just got a call from the SCORE regional president, making sure that we felt like the SCORE was going well and asking, you know, if there's anything else he could do to assist on my way up today. So, and I think that's moving along too, and that's great because it's going to help support these people that are coming through for their presentation for Spark. And next month, we're going to be meeting, trying to do some planning on for next year, trying to have a discussion about what kinds of things we could do to support small businesses next year. So that'll be at the August meeting. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
I just thought the people that qualified for
Mm-hmm.
were really interesting and exciting. The newspaper article I thought was really great.
Yeah, I'm working with Brian Vane to make a promotional video.
Are you really?
Yeah,
That's great.
it's been a fun exercise watching them because it's kind of awkward for some people that and being in front of camera and doing voiceover work and stuff. And then last night we went to the airport with all 4 of the judges and did some filming with them coming off an airplane and stuff like that.
Cool.
How exciting.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that there will be rumors that the DDA flew these people
Let the rumors fly.
I do have a question. I understand that, and I don't know if you have an answer to that. I understand that, I think last week, there was a meeting with various parties, county, city, I don't know who else, to discuss a potential approach for economic development at the county level. So I don't know any specifics. Was the DDA involved in that? And was the DDA's economic development activities and role part of that discussion?
I was going to
Do
bring
you
that up.
know? Does anybody know?
Yes, I do. I was going to bring that up after in new business.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. New business.
Okay.
Anything else on business development? Okay, redevelopment?
We did not have a meeting this last month. We go, at this point, we go to a bi-monthly schedule, with the next one being in the beginning of August. And we'll discuss later about the standing committees. But the main issues is looking at buildings have potential for redevelopment, prioritizing those, take some out, bring in some new ones. American Cleaners redevelopment is an ongoing issue, and we have informally talked with a number of potential users, developers for that property. And then the third item, main item, is how to assist the property owners with redeveloping their properties using a number of means that we had discussed in the past, and I will bring them up again at the next DDA board meeting, because I expect to need action for one of the tools we plan to use, which is have conceptual plans drafted by an architect that we would select and through the board. So that's all I have at this point.
Any questions? Okay, food truck?
I don't really have a good excuse besides I forgot to set up a meeting until Jim reminded me last week of, but then I didn't have enough time to set up a meeting in the next week, so we'll meet for the next meeting. The main issue that we had to discuss was the cost for a vending permit. Besides that, we had the location agreed to. And at this point, this summer season's almost over, and the Manistee Beverage Company parking lots had food trucks in there quite often.
Does he charge?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it looks like they're pretty successful too.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people like.
So there are primarily two trucks that seem to be around.
And the coffee one was here for a long time, but I think they've left town now.
Just what I
I
thought.
think. But I'm not really quite sure. You changed it.
But from what you hear from them, is it a sustainable business effort?
For the food trucks?
Yeah.
I mean, the taco truck always says they do very well. And that's the only truck I've actually talked to.
Because I noticed up in Beulah, they created a park, food park, whatever. And for a while there were like 2 or 3, and now there's nobody for the last month, which is the high tourist season. There is one that is at a different location, Asian. So I was wondering about, how.
They seem to do very well in the parking lot.
Okay. Good.
Ludington has like a dedicated food truck spot right on US 10 there.
Yeah.
They have 2, sometimes 3 trucks there depending on the day.
Okay, thank you.
They have them there for their Friday night.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, May 2018 check register. You wanna talk about that?
Well, it's
It's in the packet. What's
yeah,
that?
It was missing that month, that's what.
We're missing that much.
It's good follow-up.
There's nothing out of the ordinary there.
Does anyone want to make a motion for approval?
Do we need to approve it?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
I don't move to approve it.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, financial report.
So some of the things Barry talked about, changing over the accountant. Remember, she did a lot of changes. Still need to figure out what's going on with those 2 balance sheets, the revolving loan and downtown dollars. We did have 1 loan payoff, so we have 2 active loans now. And then they were late, but we got the budget in actual to yesterday, I believe. So I'll meet with the accountant and talk to her about some of the other issues.
So some of those issues to address with the accountant, as Barry had mentioned, can you talk to her about downtown dollars
Yeah,
and the balance sheet
yeah.
and the $7,000 missing from the revolving loan?
So she said in order to figure out what happened with that, we would need to go through and figure out, document each loan that's happened and probably go through the bank records and make sure they were all paid off and stuff, so it'll take some.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I'd be glad to meet with you, with her, see it, because I think I might be able to help coordinate some of the information from the bank.
That'd be helpful.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if you've set up the accounts yet, but I'd be happy to help you with that too.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say, that could be done by next month. She had emailed me about the money market account because we're actually losing $7 a month on that account. So she
Why?
suggested to open a checking account.
Is this because of fees?
There's no way possible, so I can help you with that too. There's no way possible that you're losing money on it. There's no
Okay.
fees for the.
Unless the fees
Yeah.
are more than the interest.
Yeah, there shouldn't be. There's no fees for the money market account.
So
I know
Valerie,
that
will
for
you
sure.
and Tyler work on
Mhm. Yeah, I
the
can.
$7 fee,
Yeah.
the downtown dollars, the balance sheet
Mhm.
needs to balance, and the
Uh-huh.
$7,000 missing from the revolving loan?
Mhm.
And can you put those items in the meeting minutes that
I
you
can.
and Tyler will report back on
Yeah,
next
'cause
month?
There's also a little thing with, there doesn't seem to be any expenses on women's wine and chocolate. And also. if
Well,
you-
that's because this would be for 2018-19.
What we didn't we have an event this May?
Yeah, that was in last fiscal year.
Oh,
Yeah.
last fiscal year, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm feeling a little better. Okay.
But like, none of the revenue has been moved over to
Right.
hops and crops, and there's, I mean, there's
That's what I
different
noticed
issues
with
like that.
events,
but-
yes. We can talk to her about all those things, I
Yeah.
think.
Tyler, the downtown dollars accrued interest or, interest in any way, is that
Even-
why there is an uneven amount? Should
Could
be-
be.
The balance should be based on
It's in a check.
$10, unless there was an interest or something either accrued on or deducted from.
We'll have to check into that.
What do you mean there'd be interest accrued on it?
Pardon?
If
It's
it's
sitting in a-
interest-bearing account, we put the money in an account,
Yeah.
and you get
The
interest
money
back.
from the purchase of the.
No, just the money sitting in the bank.
Correct.
Yeah. we're
Which
coming
we've
up.
got $3,318.
It just sounds like there's a lot of accounting things to just straighten out and catch up on.
Been this way since I've had.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff wasn't real well accounted for from the beginning of the program. Are you kind of following me, like the
And then
downtown
we had
dollars?
two different, we switched banks on it too, which was,
We've switched banks, we've switched accountants.
yeah.
Yeah, and not just that. In other words, I think to a comment that was made earlier, you know, there's not been a true accounting of the downtown dollars. It's been in existence for years, you guys, and it's never been well reported, I don't think, from the time I've been involved, and that's almost 4 years. But part of it was it's gone on for so long that and it wasn't accounted for, so how do you start accounting for something that's never had an accounting? You know, I mean, this was news to me that it was funded with $10,000, so that's a good start. Are you following me? But $10,000 weren't transferred over, for example, when the account got moved. The other thing is that there was a discount on downtown dollars, and that's never been accounted for. And it concerns me because I heard at one point that they were reusing them when the other committee that I was the chair of, that sometimes business owners were reselling them. Are you following me?
Oh,
Wow.
Mhm.
Well, because they're used as cash, so if somebody gives a business owner a $10 downtown dollar, then they go use it as $10 before and not redeem it at the bank.
Right, exactly. But, you know,
That's
that's not
supposed to do
controlling the
I don't, I mean, it's just like cash.
That would be-
Yeah, I never turn mine into bank.
Yeah.
I reduce mine.
Yeah. Okay, but if you had a typical like gift certificate program or anything like that that was considered cash, you would never handle it that way. You would never account for that way.
Cash it out, I mean, you have to-
Cash in,
that's
cash
zero.
out.
Yeah, mine just sit in a drawer.
They're not numbered items. You know, gift certificates are always numbers. I guess I can tell you what I know the pitfalls of the program are, and I think why we're dealing with what we're dealing with today. If you think of a history like that, in a program like this, that's what some of the issues are. So one of the things we might consider is trying to clean this up, but in 2019, having a different program. It costs more to number items, et cetera, but that's how you truly account for a program like this. So that's just a side comment.
So is that something that you and Tyler will work on, the downtown dollar, at least accounting? And then we'll look,
Review process.
Yeah.
and probably have a
I've never
small
been
committee.
comfortable with it. So.
So you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I've run
To-
gift certificate programs before.
Mhm.
This isn't, that's part of the reason it doesn't work, because you can't account, those are not all turned into the bank, so it's not like the bank is just redeeming what they get in.
Mhm.
So what
Okay,
happens
so
when they,
making
when they
sense.
get turned over to the bank, back
They-
to the bank, what happens then?
Well, that's from a business owner, and so
Yes.
they are either depositing it in their account, or they're issuing a cashier's check for a $10 gift certificate at no charge.
And what happens to the actual,
They have it all, it's in a vault.
Yeah.
But there's many years of gift certificates being turned in.
should they
You see kind of what I'm
be
talking about?
destroyed or somehow?
Well, trust me, they're in safekeeping. In the past, the DDA director's gone over and destroyed some of them, so that might be another thing that we need to talk through.
Yeah, we gotta get a process.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would suggest too that whatever we do, we start kind of from
Yeah.
scratch. Yeah. Clean up this the best we can.
The people that get them from their employers
Mhm.
really like them.
Mhm.
They're always
It's a
happy
good
to use
program.
them in the store, and I think it's a good program, but I think
Yes.
you're right, we need to clean it up.
Yeah, I think that's part of why we have such a problem with that program. But Tyler and I can work on those kinds of things
And
and
then
come up
do
with a
you wanna-
recommendation.
I was going to say, do you want to come back with a recommendation,
Yes.
maybe next month or the month after, on how to move forward with it, and maybe we,
Mhm.
just a recommendation on what to do about it?
Right, sure.
Okay. So, is there approval of the financial report? Sure.
Thank you.
Or should we wait until next month?
No, I would approve it.
Okay.
No,
So-
I move approval with, contingent upon, clarifying or addressing, issues that you just brought up with, the accountant and, report at the next, meeting.
All right.
Is there a second?
Sure. Okay.
Any more
Ladies first.
discussion?
Look, can you read that approval back? Not,
Maybe we might want to write it.
well, I think we're approving the financials with the identified areas of concern
To
to
be
be
addressed.
reviewed. Okay, all right, let's make sure I heard that.
Which are, do we want to state those in the meeting minutes?
Right.
Downtown dollars, balance sheet needs to balance, the $7,000 missing from the revolving loan.
Okay.
Tyler and Val are going to be busy
Yeah.
cleaning all this up.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
Any more discussion? We get on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Director's report.
So the few things I wanted to specifically point out was the Spark event will be on September 15th at 11 a.m. There's a joint City Council DDA meeting August 14th at 7 p.m. There's a meeting with Beckett and Rader and an architect to begin pre-development services at the American Cleaners site. I invited T and Barry as chairs of those committees. I believe Denise from the city will also be there. And then the requests for qualifications for the event coordinator have been sent out. Deadline is August 24th, and those proposals will be on the next agenda. And then the Project Rising Tide kickoff meeting. So I sent an email that we can have 3 board members attend. So Valerie emailed me, T emailed me, and I talked to Barry and expressed interest. So unless anybody else.
Will you be there, Karen? When is that again?
Friday.
Friday, 9:30.
Because the county's going to be
Yes. Yeah, Andrew.
Have you heard more about what the governor expects to accomplish?
I'm guessing he's just there to give his support of the program, is what I'm assuming. And
I
he's
think it
gonna
would be
hear
good to find out more about it, because that's what I think. I think they want to get
that.
more substantial input and feedback about what's going on and how they look at it.
Do you have any?
It's gonna be very informal, no prepared statements. It's gonna be about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And the governor's just interested in hearing about the community, what our needs are, where we're going, those types of things. There's gonna be 2 groups. One is what we call around the table. There's gonna be a number of we've got quite a wide cross-section of the community sitting at the table. And it's my understanding the governor is going to bring some other officials, I think maybe the head of MEDC and things of that nature. And then we also have about 10 or 20 spots in the audience. The biggest distinction is the ones that are at the table can engage the governor in discussion, and the audience just listens.
Any other comments or questions on the director's report? Are you done, Tyler? Sorry about that.
And then developer day is on Friday. So that's it.
Okay, say that again?
Developer day is on Friday as well. Chambers meeting.
Do we know how many people are?
Where, when?
At the brewery. I think she said that they had 18 people signed.
Tyler, at the end of your report, and I just have a little break a second, but you talked about economic development at MSU. And,
Oh,
yeah, so you're putting a meeting together. And this kind of goes off of what T was talking about. The economic development issue is front and center for the county as well. And trying to do some things to get everybody all on the same page, to get a collaborative effort going. So can we make sure that they're at the table as if they're part-time members?
the county?
Representatives.
Yeah, so I've been working with Mary Riley from MSU Extension. I know she's been talking with Mark Birch.
All right, just making sure.
Yep.
So where is this going? What is it that is being proposed?
With MSU?
No,
So these are 2 separate things.
Yes.
there are.
So.
The Developer Day is organized by the Chamber of Commerce.
No, I understand that. I'm
Oh.
talking about the.
And that's still two
that-
separate things. The MSU, I'm working with Mary Riley based on the League of Women Voters when they had Mark Wyckoff there to speak. So she provided like a checklist of different things that we should be working on as a community. And the next step we decided at our last little meeting was to invite as many stakeholders that we think are working on economic development in the county to fill out what they are working on as an organization, and then have everybody meet again and so people can see where the gaps are in economic development, what people are working on, so see if people are duplicating services, different things like that.
Do you want me to get into the economic development of the counties? Do you want that here? Okay.
Please, yeah.
So the county itself, is at a point where we're working on our budget and we're looking at our economic development and what we are actually doing. So we had a work session to discuss that. And one of the there was a recommendation that Mark Bergstrom had brought to the county, a proposal for developing an economic development committee, like an EDC, county-wide, with all the organizations represented. And so that everybody's pooling all of their monies and their efforts, in-kind or actual funds, to develop this committee that kind of oversees economic development. And of course, there's a lot more particulars to it, but again, we're just in a conversation. So that recommendation spurred, okay, so what is that? We went back to, has anybody defined economic development? So we went around and everybody has a different opinion of what it is. If I did the same thing here, we'd have the same ideas. Everybody has a different opinion. We had placemaking. We have actual manufacturing. We have people that look at it as tourism. We have, parks, recreation. All of that stuff are pieces of our economic development. I asked the planning department to kind of give us an overview. They don't really do economic development, but they are a big piece of the foundation for economic development. What we discussed was that, and many of you who've been in Manistee for many years know, probably about 15 years ago, we decided we wanted to go after tourism. So we have expanded our abilities to be a big tourist area, but we do not, and realistically, we can't sustain ourselves as being a tourist place. You have to look at, I know Traverse City is a much bigger population, but their approach to identifying themselves as a high tourism spot worked out for them. We look at ourselves as a high tourism place. However, we want those good factory jobs. So our identity is always something that is in flux. We have never said, this is who we are, this is what we want to attract. What do we want to attract to our downtown? What do we want to attract to our outcomes as regards to factories or organizations? We had the discussion that in our lifetime, I don't know if I'll see another Morton's or PCA or Mark Matta ever come to this area. Realistically, we will not probably have 200 or 300 job organizations coming here, but we could really capitalize on maybe the 100 or less organizations. High-tech places, a little difficult when you don't have broadband, but we're pie in the sky type of thinking. Healthcare, we've got $23 million being dropped into the county by Munson. It would be nice to be able to support and promote healthcare. And that's not just the distribution, but that's the making of healthcare items. There's a factory in Traverse City. We could get factories like that here to support that $23 million surge into our community. Things like that are what we were discussing. So taking that, and part of what I had said too is DDA, we are here in that same place. We want to develop and assure there's economic growth within the city as well. I represent the county as a whole, but I also have a focus on what we're doing downtown and what we want to do in the city of Manistee as well. So that's why I was like, we've got to be there, we've got to be vocal, we've got to all be working together. And I was pleased to read that that they will help us to walk through. Sherry, I think you sent everybody the information from the last presentation that was provided, and I think that that's what we really lack, is the identity of what we can do and the collective effort. We have pockets of economic growth everywhere. Everybody's vying for this. And I thought Mark's proposal was, okay, everybody, if you want it so bad, let's all get together and do it. And so everybody throw themselves into this group. And I think that's what has to be, you know, it can be an economic development council that oversees, you know, all of these different entities, not be dictating, but collaborating and maybe facilitating process to help, you know, kind of go through these barriers. So that was our discussion. Mark was tasked with going out to different groups that are doing any type of economic development or economic, putting their toe in the water in any way, shape, or form, and seeing if they want to participate in something like this to really strengthen that collaborative or a council, so that we have shared voice and shared information and shared workforce to get some of these tasks done. So that's it in a nutshell.
So if I understand correctly, we're talking, at this point, we're talking about a structure for a council of committee.
Yes.
Who is going to do the nitty-gritty work?
I think that maybe
Or-
this discussion should be
Well,
maybe
maybe
on the
can-
next
sure.
agenda, but it's different from anything that's on the agenda.
Only as related to the DDA. That's,
And my only piece of that is to make sure that the DDA is right there with all this. Because out of everybody that's at the table, I think the DDA has the
were
most.
you there?
No, this was at a county discussion. There'll be more
I
coming.
see. Okay.
And my piece in the county was to say, I want the DDA definitely in there, because I think DDA has probably the most experience of all the groups in doing this.
So then Tyler, will you keep us posted in your director's report on the involvement that you have with the county group moving forward? Are you good with that, Tia, if Tyler then just reports on that? And the,
Yeah, I would like to know in more detail what is going on, because that affects the DDA and it affects as individual business owners,
yeah.
where, how we want to invest, if we were to invest, in what way.
But it sounds pretty
It's the county-
preliminary
it's-
right
it's
now.
It's at the county, so if you want
Yeah.
more information, you'll have to, you know, come to the county or read the county stuff. And as that folds out or rolls out,
Mhm.
we'll continue to, my role on the DDA and county board is to make sure that there's representation.
That would be good.
Sounds good. Anything else on your director's report, Tyler?
I don't think so.
Any other questions, comments for Tyler? Thank you, Karen, for that report. Old business, the election of officers, do we want to postpone it for another month?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
as long as Val is
I'm fine with
still
that.
secretary.
And policy 13, standing committees.
Still discussion.
What's that?
It's a bigger discussion.
How big is the discussion on standing committee? I guess my only comment is, George has been sitting here patiently forever, and I'm the one that asked for the closed session. And I guess all I'm doing is asking the board, are we at this time comfortable or not, as he sits here patiently.
Well,
And I know I'm totally out of order.
I would at least like to get to item A on new business.
So standing committees,
I
Can
don't
we
have a problem
postpone?
with putting it off until next month.
Okay, that's what I was going to suggest. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely.
New business, consider budget amendment request from Marketing and Promotions Committee for the Downtown Dollar giveaway. So as I mentioned before in the Marketing and Promotions report, in order to do some marketing and promotions during those quiet months of September 15th to November 15th, and to do some retention, the committee is asking for $1,000 in downtown dollars.
The downtown dollars, it's for those persons downtown that participate in that, correct?
It's anybody from anywhere that spends $500.
Yeah, but to
It's
spend my 1,000,
multiple.
so Snyder's and maybe I want to go over to, I don't know, Rouge's or not Rouge's, but C's, whatever.
Most stores do take the downtown dollars. I can't say that everybody does.
Okay, so we have to make sure that if people realize that $1,000 spending will be, you're going only to the places where you have the downtown dollars.
Yeah, we can put,
Right.
We're accepted.
Would the businesses that currently do not participate in the downtown dollars, wouldn't that entice them to participate if they know that there is $1,000 out there in downtown dollars that would be expended?
I can't speak for a business owner, why or why not they would want to participate or
Okay.
not participate.
I
But
understand that, but.
most businesses do take the downtown dollars. And
But-
we can just put a disclaimer that the people that win the $1,000, just like anybody else,
Yeah.
wherever stores accept the downtown
Because I
dollars.
can see somebody
Yes.
walking down to a store and getting all upset because they can't spend that money there, you know.
Well,
So I think having this spend just to be
Well,
important.
that's a good point, and maybe there can be first a list of all of the businesses
No.
that accept, well then how else?
It's-
How, if I win the $1,000 in downtown dollars?
If it's
How
going to
do I
be
know?
complicated, I would just rather not do
It'll
it.
be more
Because
complicated if
Yes.
people don't have good instructions.
all we have to put
Yeah.
on the form is the downtown dollars can be used at any store that accepts the downtown dollars. That's how it is now. So
I
if I have to
understand that.
call every business and ask if they take downtown dollars, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that, and then we don't have to do this.
But it wouldn't be you, it would be me, that I want $1,000, okay? And I wouldn't go downtown and start spending it.
Mhm.
So I go to some of the stores and say, hey, I want to spend my downtown dollars, my 1,000, or a portion of. They say, oh, I don't accept it. Okay, well, now I go to another store.
They already do that now.
Oh,
Anytime
is
someone
it?
uses downtown dollars in my shop, they'll ask me right away, do you take the downtown dollars?
Maybe you should have like a sticker on the door, like a Visa.
They did have those in the past.
Yeah.
but-
And people really don't want to put stickers in their windows, and the program is, well, it's supposed to start by September 15th, so if we're gonna start calling every business and have a list of who takes it, who doesn't, I don't have the time to do that and then get that printed and by September
And
15th.
there is a list online of ones that have confirmed that they used them with me within the last year and a half.
Print that out for the
Yeah,
winter
I could do that.
and put it in
And-
an envelope.
I don't think
Correct.
that's all encompassing of everybody
Correct.
that's gonna
But
use
at
it.
least we
Sure.
can say, this is at least the
Now, I
last
could
list we
send
have.
out a mass email to all the business owners. Here's the list of businesses that I have that use downtown dollars. If you want to be included in the giveaway contest, tell me.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's right. You only
And
have
if I don't hear from you, you're not on the list. I'm not gonna-
I guess what I want to avoid is people getting all PO later when they cannot spend where they want to spend, you know?
Oh, I
That's,
mean,
that's. the
It's
I'm
thing.
not gonna worry too much about somebody that wins
With
$1,000 complaining
And it's
about.
going to be one person, not multiple people.
That's true, okay. Couple related questions that I had. You answer about advertising. Again, I want to clarify that it is combination of $500 receipts. And that includes restaurants?
Anybody.
It includes any downtown business.
Okay.
If I go to, you go to Manistee Tire and change your tires.
Mhm.
Okay. Do they get downtown dollars?
It
I
doesn't,
think so,
I
but,
think they
it's
do.
not downtown, it's any business.
but that's just
But
you
you can
buying
spend
it
it.
with your
I
cash.
understand that.
And the only question that the Marketing and Promotions Committee had, which I didn't have an answer, if someone spent $1,000, so they have two $500, can they submit their name more than once? And the committee, I don't really have an answer to that, I wanted to think about it, but the committee thought yes.
The point of the program is for them to spend more money. If they want,
Yes.
if they want to
More
spend
chances, yeah.
$2,000 and get 4 chances to win. that's
So,
fine.
I personally find the $1,000 to be excess, and I think that's gonna draw negative comments about the DDA and the expenditure of resources. I would think if you ran a promotion or anyone that spent $500 or greater received a 10% or even a 20% bonus in a drawing, that would probably be more palatable. But $1,000 is a lot of money.
I think that, I totally disagree. I don't think that it would draw negativity. I think it actually would be very good for the businesses in the community. And we saw I got the example from Petoskey, because Petoskey's doing it. And they did a huge marketing campaign on it. It was all over their Facebook. It's being very well received. So that's where I got the idea. It gets people to our downtown, gets people to our businesses, gets people to spend, again, during the quiet months.
There will be
No, I-
negativity with pretty much anything we
Anything
do
we
here,
do.
so
I don't think that we can
Exactly.
stop doing programs because there might be a handful of negative people. But that's
So
my opinion.
I go to the Manistee Tire and I get tires for my wife's car. They're about $1,000 or $500. No, I don't need my wife's car. Just one set of tires.
One's not, yeah.
500.
If you spend $500 in any downtown
It doesn't
business or
matter.
multiple businesses, you can be eligible.
You just put your name in the hat for the draw.
I see what Jim says, because I can see certain group or groups saying, oh.
So what groups
but
are you talking about?
The negative groups.
Well, what negative groups are you talking about?
I'm not about the general public.
So are we making an assumption about the general public? Because it could go one way or the other. And until we try something new, how are we going to know what the general public thinks about it?
Well, there's already questions from the general public that, concerning, from past discussions, the amount of reimbursement for city services and the amount of taxes that are referred to the DDA. I understand the process of the DDA and the purpose of the DDA, but I'm just saying, $1,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. And it could be giving $1,000 if you spend 500 is quite a bonus.
Yeah, but what if a lot of people spend $500 and it increases traffic in our downtown to our restaurants, our stores?
You're correct. I mean, the concept is correct. And the only concern that I have, I can see what Jim is saying, is that the people that may be opposing that or be negative to it are not going to see the benefit to the downtown businesses and the domino effect. The employees that are not in the downtown, they live somewhere else.
Maybe we can educate
But,
the negative naysayers on the program.
And what I was actually going to ask you is, do you have any gut feeling for how much activity business, how much dollars would these additional dollars that would generate? Do we think that it's going to be another 10 people that are going to go and push out there and get the $500 worth of purchases?
We won't.
Or 50 or a couple hundred?
We won't know until
You
we
tell
try
me.
it.
And we have no way of knowing, we have no research, we have no, I mean, we don't have those abilities.
No.
So we have to kind of just do,
Got it.
yeah, and then analyze it afterwards. And it's what Rachel
And
said,
that's what I
we're not
think.
gonna know
And
unless.
my thought was, I think we should do it once. If it's successful, and we see that indeed it results in substantial additional economic activity, then something to repeat in, February and March period, another slow time.
And the additions that I would add to that, I don't have a problem with it, but we have to communicate it, clearly what it is, and we have to be clear about what the rules are, with information.
It will all be taken care of on the form that Tyler and I will create. And I do agree with you, it does need to be analyzed after, and I can come back with a report on it. I don't think though that you can take it one time and say it was successful or not successful. We have to do something a couple, 2, 3 times to see if it grows, but we can bring back numbers and how many people participated at what dollar amount and.
Because you will get some results
Sure.
by the end of the period,
Yep.
right? So,
It's gonna be hard to
maybe,
tell whether those people are gonna spend that money or not, regardless, but.
so you can use that then to show success, assuming that there is success, as a way of balancing out the negative.
I would say, how many people have spent $500 in downtown dollars in 30 days, from a historical perspective?
Well, they don't have to spend downtown dollars,
Yeah.
you
No.
just spend your
Dollars,
You
cash.
have to spend $500 to qualify for the drawing.
Yes.
How many people have done that in recent history?
In last 30 days, I have $500 downtown, yeah, that's,
$500 in 3 months downtown?
yeah.
All it takes is tires.
Well,
Yeah.
Or
or
that's
the
all it is.
Store.
Well,
Sale,
I don't
right?
buy $500 suit, but, you go to Manistee Tire, just a simple repair is going to be $150. So it adds up.
Oh, yeah.
So I was trying to think which businesses really would benefit.
But
I
if
mean,
you-
where is the, where is the additional activity going to take place? Whether it be, at the stores right downtown or in some of the businesses that where, a group of 6 people at the brewery can spend, $150.
I don't think it's for one business to benefit over another
No,
business.
no, I understand
It's to give people to come downtown, to
Right.
shop, have cocktails, eat, get their tires changed.
Yeah.
I believe that there's a gas station in our downtown, they would be included, so any business in the downtown that you spend money at, $500 in receipts, be entered into a drawing.
I think we should do it. I move that we approve the expenditure of, I will amend the budget to provide funding for the downtown dollar giveaway at the amount of, what was it, 12?
We asked for $1,200 because we need a
Correct.
little bit of money to print the
Oh, yeah.
postcards to put in the stores.
Yep.
Somebody second. Okay.
Any discussion?
Wait, one thing, and I didn't include the amendment form, I just noticed that, but to be clear, you're taking 1,200 from fund balance, 1,200,
because we didn't have it anywhere else, yeah.
Unless you wanted to take it from a different place.
Let's take $1,000 from fund balance and $200 from the allocation for marketing and promotions.
Okay.
Which one?
Is that fair?
Mhm.
You're amending the,
I just
I
did.
got it. You'll take, the motion will be to do $1,000 for fund balance and 200 from marketing to, so that would be the budget.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Consideration of closed session to discuss real estate purchase as permitted by the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8. So,
Can we get a briefing on that a little more than?
that's what we were going to.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Tyler wants to address it or me, because I was the instigator and
So in order to go into closed session, there's different viewpoints on it, that we have to be talking about an offer on property that we may want to purchase. And I think that, from my understanding, I think that we are going to be talking about an offer.
is there a more broad interpretation to discuss?
Well, first of all, to go into
Purchase.
closed session, you just need a motion and support for the purpose under section 8D, just as Tyler has. And then we can talk about the property that you're interested in and
Or-
offers and what you are thinking about.
So you're,
So it is permitted.
it sounds like
So
the
it is
concern is.
permitted then even, oh, I just have one more question. If we don't have a dollar amount in mind, is it still permitted if we're going to just?
Sure. Yeah.
To just discuss the
The
concept
purchase.
of purchase.
Possible properties.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I will make that motion.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, someone did? Okay.
No,
No,
no. And then do we have a second?
yes.
Thanks.
any discussion? So all in favor of going into closed session?
Madam Chair, person on this particular basis of a closed session requires a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Plus you think have to identify who can be in this closed session.
Right.
Well, you certainly all your board, right? And then if you have any, a barrier on the board.
I'll make it tonight.
You can,
Yeah.
you can invite the other people if you.
Okay.
Okay.
choose to.
Okay, so my motion was to go into a closed session to discuss real estate purchases as permitted by blah, blah, blah. And in the closed session, we invite Barry Lane to participate in addition to the board members.
You have to specify
Hey, George?
George?
You know.
Okay. All right. Well, we just want
Is
to-
it-
George,
Okay, got it.
is that appropriate since he has not been nominated and reappointed?
Well, if I'm here as the attorney for the DDA,
No, I'm talking about Barry, right?
Yeah, he
Oh,
said you
Barry?
can invite.
Yeah, you can invite virtually anybody that you think is relevant to your discussion, so, sure.
Okay.
So, it's, you made it? Okay, roll call vote. Sherry?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes? Okay.
Do you want to just close these doors?
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes it easier.
Yes.
Easier than moving.
Well, no.
Nothing?
I don't think.
Okay.
we can do
Thank
that.
you.
We
Thank you.
can
Bye.
make a recommendation, put it on it as an agenda item for next month's.
Do we, does that?
And the recommendation could be further discussion.
It could just be on the,
Yeah.
yeah.
Further discussion.
We don't need to, I don't think we need to say that.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So then, public comment?
Thank you for humoring me, but sometimes the inertia, I mean, it's like we're always hitting roadblocks.
You amended that.
Okay, public comment? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Okay.
I
I did.